Hello everybody, today we're going to take a look at Arena Eterna's design history, how it came from just a simple idea all the way to the finished product that it is today. As much as I wish this product was a knockout of the park, the first hit around, this is actually a design process that took dozens, maybe not dozens, but sure felt like dozens over the course of 4 years of iterations until I actually made something that I'm extremely proud of. Now, first we have to go all the way back to 2022 when I was first making a lot of custom Magic the Gathering cards based off of, my favorite characters and my favorite video games and stuff like that. And I had the idea, what if I were to make my own card game? Surely it couldn't be that difficult, right? Well, so we'll just get started. So these are paper proxies of these cards, and I still have the files on my computer, though it's kind of difficult to find them just because they're lost in a whole bunch of other files. But thankfully I kept a lot of the physical stuff that I printed up until this point. And as you can see, this is all stuff that I lifted from, I believe, DeviantArt all those years ago. It's just concept art from like the same artist. But I had this idea where I wanted to make a game that focused strongly on characters because I was playing a lot of Apex Legends, and also I play a lot of Tekken as well, and I just really like character-based games. So I wanted to make a strongly character-focused card game, and my ideas from the beginning, like involving a character with a simple name to recognize them by, along with a somewhat iconic design that somewhat fits the name of the character, was something that I had designed from the beginning that followed all the way through to the very end. And this version of the game, man, I'm trying to remember. I think it was called Cosmic Legends. I'm pretty sure that was the name of it, and it didn't last very long, and also the game was okay. It wasn't really all that fun. And I was trying a bunch of different ideas. Mostly from the beginning, I was trying to combine a lot of what I really enjoyed from Yu-Gi-Oh! And a lot of what I really enjoyed from Magic the Gathering into their own game, and it just wasn't really working out. But I kept prevailing with this design idea and thinking, maybe I could make a fusion of Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! That could end up being really good. And at this time, I was already starting to commission art for the game because I had already started to create this vision of what I wanted the game to be. I wanted it to blend some elements of fantasy, but mostly a lot of science fiction, and a lot of it with stuff that was my favorite growing up as a kid. Seeker here, as you can see, she's going to be a character that actually is an Arena Eterna along with this really cool art. She was inspired directly from a game I used to play as a kid a lot called Dino Crisis 2. The design of the Allosaurus, I'll post a picture on the screen, is pretty much lifted from that game, as well as the red-haired character. She's very strongly inspired by Regina, which is one of the main characters in the game, but the Allosaurus is absolutely most definitely supposed to evoke the same design as the Allosaurus from Dino Crisis 2. And this game, it was still hero focused, and it still combined a lot of the base identities of Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! To the point where the game itself had it had an identity crisis of not having enough of an identity for itself. This game was called Cyber Duel, and for those of you who will pay attention later in the video, you'll see that this design around the circle itself pretty much stayed with the game as it continued to evolve on. Cyber Duel is one of those projects, as I've been working on it throughout the years, it's more of a back burner kind of project. I've actually utilized Frontline TCG to work out a lot of the kinks from my design errors that I had with this game, and Frontline TCG plays a hell of a lot better than this game did. I have prototypes of this game. I have like 3 or 4 out in the wild that I've given to both family and friend members, but they never really got back to me on this. So yeah, clearly this game wasn't it, but I had a really strong artistic direction that I wanted to go with this comic book kind of style. Like, one of my biggest gripes with a lot of modern indie TCGs is a lot of them try to go the anime route, and I've never really been a big fan of anime and manga aesthetics. Although I do like the properties, it's just when I want to make a card game, I want it to have its own visual identity. And this art here from Gab Graphic is just, it's stellar. It's knocking out of the park, dude. And also Gab Graphic was responsible for this card back here. I commissioned him to design it, and we worked together on it. It's a bit over designed, but it evokes a lot of nostalgic memories for me. And as we can see here, it's 2023, so this is already a full year into designing the game. So as 2023 comes and goes and 2024 comes and goes, I'm working around these designs, and I come across the idea of maybe I should make something that's more easier for me to handle logistically, because one of the issues with a trading card game is that you're dealing with a lot of moving pieces. I mean, not only am I commissioning a lot of art, but it also requires a significant amount of balance. And also, if I wanted to print this product, it would require an insane amount of printing and warehouse space and employees and a design team and distributors and a whole lot of stuff, and just something that I am not really prepared to deal with, at least not right now. I definitely don't have the capital to handle something like that, but I felt like I really had something with like this character-based design concept. So I thought, why don't I just make a card game where the entire experience can be enjoyed in like one deck, kind of like Uno or Flux, where it's just, it's one and done, you buy it, you're good to go, you don't need to buy another of the products ever again. So I worked on that throughout the later half of 2024, and in 2025 I made Cardfight Clash, which is the alpha version or proto version of Arena Eterna. And Cardfight Clash, I felt like, you know, it sounded cool. It had like this thing where in my head, a game, at least if it wanted to be memorable, it needed to be between 2 to 3 syllables. So I was like really hard stuck on this idea. That's why Cyberduel was named the way it was. It was not only supposed to evoke the themes of the game, but also try to hit the 3 syllables of the game. But pretty much what Arena Eterna is today was rooted in Cardfight Clash. And this is the original tuck box design. This is the only prototype I ever made of this game. And this wasn't ever supposed to be like a final version of the game. The logo itself is super basic, and honestly, it's kind of hard to read. I mean, like, you might be able to see it easier in this video, but in person, it's actually kind of a bitch to read. As you can see here, I'm missing a lot with the backs of the cards, and I started to stray from Gab Graphics' original design because I recognized that it was a bit too busy. But what Arena Eterna exists now as a product started here, and a lot of it just kind of stayed the same, where I had a lot of these very dynamic and interesting arts made for this game that I had commissioned throughout the years from Gab Graphic and Adi Saputra, and also future arts that you'll see from other artists like Benson, John Fajardo, and other talented people. And I felt like I was really starting to be like get really resonant with it, and like really starting to hit my stride and feel like, okay, you know, this could actually be something cool. And the print quality itself is okay. I ended up not going with these guys for the final run of the product, just because not only was it not exactly to the standards I wanted, but it was also considerably more expensive than using foreign printers. And I know, obviously, tariffs and all this other kind of shit, but as I've come to do my research over the years, I found that Chinese printers actually end up having a better quality product at a cheaper price. So you'd kind of be an idiot for not wanting to buy into that, because, I mean, if I'm a customer, I want a higher quality product, and I also want to pay less for it. So, I mean, as a business owner, it is really important for me to also factor those kinds of decisions as well. So I ended up changing the branding of the game in conjunction with the name because somebody had pointed out to me that there was another card game, like an old Street Fighter game called like Card Fighters Clash. And it's just too similar to this. Like, I really don't want to invoke the wrath of Capcom, even though that's an old 20-year-old game. They would probably go after me, especially if this property had like to gain any steam. I would not be surprised if Capcom decided that they were going to go against me. So that eventually moved over to the first iteration of Arena Eterna, which is test printed by a different company using the tuck box method. But as you can see here, there's a lot of wear and tear. I mean, like, I've only, there's also old dust here, gross. But I mean, I've only had this thing for like a little more than a year and a half, and it hasn't really, you know, I haven't exposed it to a whole lot, and it's just got naturally banged up. And this isn't really something that I feel comfortable selling, because I wanted this to chill out in people's games collection along with like their board games and card games. And you know, when you look at the modern day version of it, you know, it's a lot more sturdy. In my opinion, it's a much better presentation having this kind of box where it actually has movement and it's kinetic, and I don't know. It's just, in my opinion, this is just a much better product. Sure, it ends up being a little bit more expensive, but you know, if I'm looking to buy a one-off type of expansion or card game or something like that, I want it to be in a nice case. And this here, well, it does make the product cheaper. It's not the same quality that I want it to be. And we're going to take a look at the print quality for the cards themselves here. We about reached the near final version of the card backing itself. I ended up recoloring Gab Graphics' original design, and I removed a lot of the noise, the visual noise in the background in this area, and I brought the logo more forward. And the logo is gold and like is very contrasted with the blue and teal of the card back. And that ended up just being a core visual part of the brand's identity. And the cards ended up looking a lot the same. Although you'll notice here on the bottom of the card is that the company name is what the original card game used to be called, which is Cosmic Legends. This didn't really stick around for long. This was pretty much just a placeholder company name. Cosmic Legends isn't really something I was too keenly on wanting to keep. Plus, Cosmic Legends has also been registered as like an independent like jam band, even though they haven't updated their website in like a decade. It's just not something that I really wanted to deal with. But a lot of the designs that I had started with in Cardfight Clash carried over into Arena Eterna. There isn't a whole lot of changes. There might be some changes with how the cards themselves read, or maybe the effects are switched around a little bit, but this is pretty much at like the 80% mark of the finished product. You know, I'm pretty much getting everything hammered down. It's just pretty much finding the right printer and also getting good test prints that look decent. And yeah, at this point, I'm very confident in the product itself. And although I'm playing it close to the chest, this is something that, even though, you know, it won't be super successful, it can be something that I'm extremely proud of. And that's all I really strive for. But also, in conjunction with this product, I also made a premium deck. And as you can see here, the premium deck has different looking backgrounds because I wanted to create a rarity system to entice people to, you know, maybe buy multiples of it to see if you can pull rares or ultra rares or secret rares and all these other cool designs. But then I realized that'd be a bit much, and maybe I could go the booster pack route, but even then, I don't really know. It kind of runs into the same issues of running a trading card game where you have a lot of busy logistics to deal with. But out of it, I got a lot of really cool foiling designs. And so I'll go over with you the original rarity system of Arena Eterna. This doesn't exist anymore, but we'll go over it anyways. So this here is the common foil. Every card in the premium, the old premium edition of the deck would be foil, and they would each have their own rarity. And so this is common. It's just pretty much the same base art, except it's foil. And then we have uncommon, which is a silver background, and it's a really cool foiling. If you use gray or white in your process of coloring a card, it makes the foiling pop out even more. And the next stage is the rare, and this ended up almost carrying through all the way to the end with the current iteration of the premium deck, with the gold and this topography inspired design in the background. But the character itself is still color. The characters remain color throughout all the rarities, but it's just the backgrounds that change. Next is the super rare, which the super and ultra rares are nods to designs in Cosmic Legends, where the creatures in the game were staged based off of core or super or ultra, and it was supposed to evoke a Yu-Gi-Oh system attributing for like level 4s, level 5 and 6s, and level 7s and 8s. But super was supposed to be blue, and I really like this design. It kind of reminds me of like old like NBA cards. And then we have the ultra rares, which I'm a really big fan of this design with the red topography, and it's a bit more busy. Although looking at it now in retrospect, I kind of wish it was more of a solid red foiling instead of the rainbow style. But hey, you know what? At the end of the day, it still looks pretty cool. And then we have the obsidian rare. This one, it was okay. I mean, I thought it looked cool. When I made it on the computer, it looked a hell of a lot different, and it looked a lot lighter. But as it came out in the print, it came out very dark, and this was the one I was looking forward to the most, and it just ended up being the biggest disappointment. And then we have the, I think I called this the hyper rare. This was a test design in the background. This wasn't something I was going to move forward with had I actually chose to stick with this design in the future, but it was okay. It was just more or less a test print. And then we have the Damascus rare, which is my favorite design. I did not carry this over into Arena Eterna. This might be something that I will move forward with in the future for something else, but this is literally just the Damascus design from Modern Warfare 2019's gun camos, and I just kind of copy and pasted it as a background to test out the idea. It just came out really sick, but we'll be using this in the future in a different project. And then the final rarity is the secret rare. Now this is the one that impressed me the most. I thought, you know, I'd just try it out in the test print and see how it kind of comes out, but just looking at it, like, God, this looks sick. I'm still a really big fan of this, and I probably will use this this rarity design system in the future with my other card game that we'll eventually go back into, because the characters in Arena Eterna are all part of an established universe with their own established lore that I will be going more into. I'm thinking with like maybe comic books, but that'll all be explained probably much farther into the future. But that leads us to Arena Eterna as it is, and it, again, this is something that I'm extremely proud of, and I continued working on the premium deck idea by taking what I liked about the rares and further accentuating what I liked the most about them. And so when you buy the premium version of the deck, it'll look different than this. I still have to test out some different colorways. It may be red and gold, it might be black and gold, but it's going to look different than this, you know, for the collectors, so that way they don't get them mixed up, and it also makes the premium edition actually stand out apart from the standard edition. But every card in the premium edition will have the same treatment, and it's gold on gold with a gold foiling and also a different card back. So the card back is or almost a solid, but there's a slight gray gradient through here, but it's gold and black along with the front, and it's a really, it just pops. It just looks so great. This golden foiling, like, it looks so nice along with the designs of the cards themselves. Now this test print has shown me that I should improve the contrast, make the blacks a little bit richer, also maybe add some shading to the gold design in the background with the topography look to give it more depth. But I mean, on the camera it looks different than it does in person, and in person it looks really good. But on camera here, you can at least get a good idea of what it is going to look like. And these aren't cheap to print, that's for sure. And so because these aren't cheap to print, they are definitely premium in price compared to the base version of Arena Eterna, the Kickstarter. The base version of the game will be $35, and the premium edition is going to be $90. And that's almost triple the amount, but that's just because the printing for this is just so expensive. But also, you know, it's supposed to be a more premium product, and so I really wanted to deliver on a higher quality product as such, because I didn't want just the base version of Arena Eterna. I wanted to give collectors and ballers their own little slice of heaven, as it were. But yeah, that's the history of Arena Eterna and its design process, from all its different editions all the way to what we had made in 2025 and 2023, all the way back to some fun old paper proxies made in 2022. It's wild that it's been 4 years. You know, actually looking at all these cards all together in the same spot, it's tugging at my heartstrings a little bit. It's making me nostalgic, makes me yearn for these kinds of days where I was a lot more idealist and I had a million different ideas, and then the businessman started to take over as time went forward and started moving towards consolidation and efficiency. And yeah, I don't know. It's really fun to look back on history and how the project changes. This is something that I've worked really hard on, and it's the thing in my life that, even though I won't really consider it my magnum opus of creation at this point in my card design career, it is my magnum opus. You know, should I, you know, die tomorrow or whatever, I'll be proud knowing that I made something like this, and it's really cool. And I hope you all find this to be really interesting and cool too. And yeah, please go into the link below and support this project on Kickstarter. It launches a week from now, next Wednesday. And yeah, thank you for listening to me ramble for so long here. I'm Tasty Snackies. You all been wonderful, and I'll catch you on the flip side.